Welcome to 7th grade science! Hi, my name is Brian Jackson, and it is my absolute pleasure to be able to be teaching your students 7th grade science this year. And it's even more of a pleasure, well, to be able to do it without a mask on for this video right now. Anyway, I am so excited to be teaching 7th grade science for your students this year. 7th grade science, of the 3 types of branches of science, is definitely the best of them because we get to play with all the toys. This year for 7th grade science, the focus is going to be on physical science, right? So what better way to do that than to get your hands dirty and actually get on things and moving and manipulating things? Now this year, things might be a little bit different, so we're going to try to be as creative as I possibly can with the labs and things like that, but safety is going to be our #1 goal, just like safety always is in 7th grade, this year especially. So what does it mean to be teaching physical science? Well, we're going to start out the year with an intro to science type lessons. So for the first few weeks, we'll be talking about things like, well, what did this contraption used to be, and how can you use observations and inferences to be able to tell what it was? Or how do things move, like a little penny right here and everything? Why is it moving? Why does it keep going? What are some observations that you could make about a penny? Things like that are what we're going to be doing towards the beginning of the year. Basically, scientific method, right? If you have a problem, how can you solve it? What are the steps in science to solving that problem? Fairly quickly in the year, we'll switch from introduction to science and we'll move into one of our 2 big topics of the year. Chemistry is the first one we'll get into, right? Chemistry obviously has to do with the elements on the periodic table. We'll learn about different elements like zinc right here. We'll learn about how they affect our daily lives, how their relationship is on the periodic table and why they're there, and all kinds of information about chemistry. Closely related to that, we'll get into atoms, right? What are atoms? How big are atoms? How do they affect our lives, right? Can you see atoms? Questions like that, how they interact with each other, kind of like how the elements interact on the periodic table. Later, as we get into the cold part of the year, we'll move away from physical science and we'll do a short little stint with earth science, talking about astronomy. So we'll talk about comets and planets and solar systems and galaxies and things like that. Our last really large unit of study for the year will be physics. Right, so once the weather starts turning nice and spring approaches, we'll get into physics. Now physics is all about things in motion, right? So why is it that things are moving? Why is it things are not moving? How do we get things moving and how do we stop them moving? And my personal favorite, what happens when things smash together? Well, welcome to the Science Ninja Schoology page. All right, so I've tried to keep this as simple as possible for everyone, but there is a great deal of information to kind of pack into one place. So it's great that I have this chance to just kind of go over it with you and see, so you can see what's going on inside of it. Let's see here. First, right now, because it's the beginning of the year, there's science fair registration. So if you're interested in the science fair, you can always click on this and it has a link to where you can go to sign up. There are also posters in my room and all around the school where you just click that little QR code and it takes you right to the sign up. But it is only for September. So after September, sorry, there are no exceptions. You can't sign up for the science fair, which is why we've gone over it in class. The next folder that I have is for new students. Because it's the beginning of the year, I've strongly encouraged all students to go into that folder. Let's see here. There is a Welcome to Science Ninja Team video that you can click on the link right here for. For this video right here, it's pretty much all the stuff that we cover right at the very beginning of the year, right? So a lot of students, I just told them, this is exactly what we're going over in class, the first few days of school, but it's wonderful for students that maybe switch teams or come from another school or something like that. That way they don't have to feel like, they're wondering what's going on in class or anything like that. And then one critical video, especially for parents that might want to see what's going on. For every chapter that we do all year, there's going to be a convenient workbook that has just about all of the things that you would possibly need. Lab activities are in here, homework, study guides. I mean, everything is in this one little packet. Even the assigned reading pages are already, right here in the workbooks. So if you want to know how they get graded in more detail about the workbooks, there's this video right here, how to fill in your workbook correctly. all students are going to have to watch that towards the end of the first chapter before they actually hand their workbooks in, just to make sure there are no questions about where all the points are and how you can lose points or gain points and things like that. So that's the first folder on my Schoology page. That'll be there all the time, is the new student folder. Now, probably the most important folder, though, is going to be course materials. And this is probably true for every course in all of Cumberland Valley right now. If you click on course materials, right now at the beginning of the year, we're in the first unit, so that's the only one that's going to be available. So we're starting out with an intro to science unit. If you click on that, then that's broken further down into 2 chapters. There's an intro to science chapter, and then there's a short metric chapter. So again, right now at the very beginning of the year, we're in that first chapter, and then this is where all the material as it becomes pertinent to the students is going to become available. For every single chapter, there's always a study guide, and all the study guide it's just a workbook from a couple years ago that I filled in the answers to most of the pages, I would say, that would be pages you might be studying for a test, worksheets and things that we do in class that honestly, I'm there. If a student has a question, I can go ahead and tell them the answers anyway. But that is extremely helpful, especially in today's world where someone might be out sick for 2 weeks or more, who knows. Then that way they don't have to feel like they're falling super far behind. They can always, they can check Schoology, find out what we did in class, and they can work through it. And that way they can at least be studying the right things. They can get all the answers to most of the pages in there that way. So the study guide is always available for each chapter. This is that same welcome video, just because it's the beginning of the year, I put that in here. And I put it in this place in particular because at the very beginning of the year, there was a welcome to my classroom quiz that all students had to take. And again, it's just a short quiz. It was covering some of the very basic rules and everything that were covered the first few days in class or in that video. So that quiz was right there. There also, for each reading assignment we do, students have to highlight at least one important thing in their actual workbooks where the reading is for every paragraph. So for every paragraph, what's one really important thing that you read? You need to use a highlighter and highlight it. But also to check for understanding, there's also going to be a short quiz for each reading assignment. And the quizzes aren't very long, but just to check that, yes, you are paying attention kind of thing. So far we've done the first reading, and just actually today I assigned the second reading. But as the chapter goes on, there'll be 2 more quizzes for this. And really, each folder is designed. That's all, for that one chapter, that's all the pertinent information that you need. So if we go back, let's go back to the start here. So that is the course materials, super, super important for everyone. Probably the other thing that might be tied for importance would be the agenda, right? There's going to be an agenda in there that you can click on and make it bigger, or you can just kind of scroll through this way. For the first week of school, there wasn't a whole lot going on and everything. If we kind of go to where we are right now, the second week of school, the date's always going to be there, and then it's kind of broken down. Like Monday, there was no school because we had off that day. But then Tuesday, it tells you everything that we did in class for that day, all the major things. So the yellow highlighted things are what I always call the question of the day. It's kind of like a little starter activity that we do, and they're writing that down towards the back of their workbooks for it. And I answer it in class and everything. Any vocabulary words that we go over, also in those workbooks, they have to write down the vocabulary word, the definition, examples, a color picture for it and everything. Well, every day it's highlighted in green what vocabulary words we did. So you can see on Tuesday we did 1 vocabulary word. Anything that would be assigned in class that's potentially going to be graded, well, that's going to be in red, right? So any workbook pages that we have or any quizzes that come up, like here are a few workbook pages. Right here was that first reading quiz 1.1. All of that's right, right there too. So you can kind of scroll through every day and see what exactly is going on each day in class. All right, so that's kind of the agenda that's going on there. There's also a couple other places. There's the course headquarters. Inside there, you can see the syllabus. This is the same syllabus, again, that all the students got at the very beginning of the year. It goes over all the rules, like don't bite each other and things like that. So that's always there for students to see. There's also a student tech resource, the academic honesty policy, how you can contact me. All that information is right there in that one folder for course headquarters. Overall, it's my desire to teach your student not only the simple facts and figures of science that everyone needs to learn when you're in 7th grade, but to give them an actual passion for science, to teach them that there's more to it than just learning, the difference between chemistry and physics. There's that whole scientific inquiry process that you use constantly, every day of your life, all the time. And how is it that science can make their lives better, literally for the rest of their life?